Good morning. Happy June. I'm Zinklea Samoa. Joe and Savannah are off this morning. Right now on Morning News Now, anguish and anger over the tragedy in Texas, leaving a nation divided as more victims of last week's mass shooting are laid to rest. This morning, new questions about what happened and if more could have been done to save lives.
I've been to more mass shooting aftermaths than I think any president in American history, unfortunately. And it's just so much of it is preventable.
And on Capitol Hill, the stage is set for a showdown over gun rights in America. We have team coverage this morning. Firepower, major new developments in the war in Ukraine. This morning, long-range missiles from the U.S. now being sent to support Ukrainian forces. Plus, Russia claims control of a key eastern city. We'll bring you the latest. Opting out. More men say they're skipping their yearly health screenings. We'll explain what's behind the trend, plus why some doctors say those missed appointments could cause long-term problems. And unretired. You heard that right. Many older Americans are now rejoining the workforce after an unprecedented spike in retirements during the pandemic. We'll look at why so many people are going back. Welcome back. We begin this morning with the latest on the mass shooting at Robb Elementary School in the Uvalde, Texas. Funeral services have begun for the victims of last week's shooting that left 19 children and 2 teachers dead. Later today, services will take place for Irma Garcia. She's one of the teachers who died while trying to protect her students. Her husband, Joe Garcia, will also be laid to rest today. He died just 48 hours after the shooting and visiting the memorial outside the school. They are survived by 4 children. There are also new developments in the investigation this morning regarding the exterior door the gunman used to enter the school and whether it was propped open before the shooting. We have team coverage this morning on the Uvalde shooting from NBC's Ali Rafa, Guad Venanguez, and Julia Ainsley. Let's begin with NBC News Justice correspondent Julia Ainsley with the latest on the investigation into just what happened in Uvalde. Julia, good morning. One big thing that has come into question is security at the elementary school. Police originally said that the gunman got in through a back door that had been propped open by a teacher, but now they're saying something different, and this is not the first inconsistency we've seen in this case. What's going on?
Yeah, that's right. It seems that we get a lot of new information each time we hear these spokespeople representing the Texas DPS talk to us. The latest is that this teacher who is said to have propped open a door, apparently she was bringing food back and forth from her car into her classroom. Remember, this was a day of a lot of celebrations at Robb Elementary. They just had an honor roll ceremony. It was almost the end of the year. The story at first had been she had propped the door open, and that's how the gunman got into the school without anyone stopping him. At first, we thought there was a school resource officer. That person apparently was not even at the scene. But we'd always heard that that door was propped open. Well, yesterday, her lawyer said, no, she saw the gunman approaching, ran inside, and slammed the door shut. And that typically, when you close the doors, they automatically lock. That is the security system at this school. Now, though, we're hearing from the Texas police that she did not. Yes, she closed the door, but it did not lock. So more details coming out here. This teacher has not been identified. Of course, she wants to keep her privacy because people would be angry that she had left this door open if the gunman was coming. So she's protecting her privacy, speaking out through a lawyer. It's a really tense situation just about this door, whether it was propped open and whether it actually locked when she pulled it closed. Of course, if it did not lock, that would be a problem with the way this school is supposed to be secured.
And Julia, we know that the school police chief, Peter Arredondo, the school district's police chief, has come under fire for his response to the shooting. It's understood that he incorrectly believed the gunman was barricaded in the building and ordered officers to remain outside during the shooting. And we've heard those chilling stories from parents pleading with officers to go inside. And after more than an hour, federal agents reportedly then disobeyed that chief's orders and entered the school and then shot the gunman. So given all of this, where do things stand with this police chief right now?
Yeah, that's right. We keep hearing that Chief Arredondo, he is the head of a police force of just 6 that oversee the Uvalde school district. He was the chief, and he's the one who was the commander that day who said there's a barricaded situation, although there are a lot of questions because there were 911 calls coming from the children, and they could obviously hear shots and screaming inside these classrooms. He had decided that there was no more of a threat to life. That's the call you would make when you decide that it's a barricaded subject rather than an active shooter. He is the key person I think everyone in the media and anyone investigating this incident wants to talk to. Why did he make that call, given the information that he had, and what information did he have that led to that call? He at first was cooperating with investigators. Now we're being told that the Texas police overseeing this investigation have not heard from him in the past 2 days, and they did ask him for a follow-up interview. We should also add the Justice Department will likely want to talk to him as well, because we learned over the weekend they will also be conducting a review into this incident.
And so let's dig into that review. What are the next steps into this investigation, and when can we expect more from the Justice Department?
Right. So this is called a critical incident review. It has happened before, after shootings. It's really looking forward. It's trying to prevent another tragedy like this from happening and getting best practices out to law enforcement over what they should do in a situation like this. It's not as much looking backwards and holding people accountable, although they will be conducting interviews. As far as a timeline, I'm hearing perhaps a couple of months. It's not something we could see turned around next week. This might not be the place where we get the immediate answers that we're looking for. Those might be more likely to come from the state level, but it should be able to dig into some of these key details on a very thorough level. That at least is what we're being promised from the Justice Department.
Important updates on this investigation. Julia, thank you so much. Now let's bring in NBC News correspondent Guad Venanguez, who's in Uvalde, Texas. Guad, good morning. We just heard some new information about the investigation. Obviously, this community is grieving, and in grief, there's a lot. There's anger, there's denial, and so much more. So what are you hearing from families, and how are they feeling about the investigation?
Sinclair, good morning. Well, for the families, it's been a difficult week. A lot of them are now focusing on the services happening around town. We have two different masses today. One of those masses is for the teacher that died and her husband. So a lot of the families are just focusing on getting through these services. In fact, some have left notes on their doors asking for their privacy, asking to be left alone as they grieve their lost ones.
And Guad,
we continue to do this time and time again, yet nobody wants to take substantive action, and we have got to start standing. We've got to start doing it on our own. The overwhelming majority of educators in this state do not want to bear the burden of being armed on their public school campuses.
Sinclair, we were going to play that in just a few seconds. Getting on to other information that's happening here. There's been a lot of talk about Senator Ted Cruz discussing reinforcing security in schools. We've all heard the interviews where he talked about the one door in, one door out, and reinforcing security. There's been some pushback in the state of Texas, and what you just saw was a member from the teachers union, one of the teachers union, speaking about their stance when it comes to reinforcing securities in schools. A lot of the members of this union went to the state capitol, to Austin, to ask for gun reform. In fact, they went to Senator Cruz's office and handed a letter where they're asking for this type of reform, gun reform, and not so much to reinforce security.
And Guad, obviously, it's a difficult time for this community, especially as you're talking about, right? There's competing conversation around what legislation is needed. What are families saying as they're remembering their loved ones?
As I mentioned, a lot of the families have chosen to keep quiet, to focus on the services. You know, it's overwhelming when you look at the list of services happening throughout town. You know, they started this week. The ones happening yesterday, today, you have two different masses. You have visitation services for some other victims. It is overwhelming for a town this small to have that many services. So the families will be focusing on that. They're trying to get through these difficult days. In fact, the Secretary of Education was in Uvalde, and he tried to focus on the human aspect of his visit. Let's hear what he had to say.
I'm just here to, as a father, as an educator, to express my deepest sympathy with the Uvalde community, with the families of those who perished, both the children and the educators. This shouldn't happen. I'm here grieving with them, and we'll continue to keep them in our prayers.
Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona here in Uvalde, speaking of what he felt like being here. As I mentioned, the family's focusing on these services. We should also mention that yesterday the city mayor did swear in all the city council members, including Pete Arredondo, who's been at the center of a lot of discussion. The school police chief has been sworn in as a city council member. As I repeat, Sinclair, the families here continue to mourn with services happening throughout the town.
A lot to unpack, especially as these families are grieving. Guad, thank you so much. And on Capitol Hill, lawmakers in the House and Senate are debating potential gun reform legislation amid growing pressure for federal action to stop gun violence. Today, a bipartisan group of senators will meet virtually to find a way forward on measures that could overcome a Republican filibuster. And in the House, the Judiciary Committee is holding an emergency session to discuss a raft of new gun laws with a vote expected tomorrow. NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Rafa joins us now to talk about this. Good morning, Ali. Let's start with the House Judiciary Committee. What gun reform measures are they considering? And realistically, how soon could we see this get a vote on the floor of the House?
Yeah, Sinclair, well, we heard about this emergency markup meeting yesterday, and that's really to go down and tick off some gun legislation proposals in this bigger, wider legislation proposal that's called the Protecting Our Kids Act. And that includes some proposals like raising the minimum age to purchase a long gun from the age of 18 to 21, banning the sale of high-capacity magazines. It also includes some more regulations on bump stocks, ghost guns, as well as the safe storage of guns inside homes. Now, it's unclear whether these bills will be presented individually or as one mass proposal, but it does have a good chance of passing in the House when it does. We already know there is a plan when the House comes back on June 7th. Leader Hoyer and Speaker Pelosi have already announced a plan to vote on a bill to expand red flag laws that has already been proposed. And so this is just another sign that there's an urgency on Capitol Hill to get some sort of legislation done, not just in the Senate, but also on the House side too, Sinclair.
And you talked about urgency. Something we see a little less is often bipartisan collaboration, but a bipartisan group of senators will meet today and talk about these gun reforms and legislation. Might we see an actual proposal, and what do you expect from those talks?
Yeah, so we know this group, this bipartisan group of senators, 5 Democrats and 4 Republicans, have been speaking since last week. They were in communication over the weekend via Zoom, text, calls. They spoke yesterday over Zoom. We also expect them to speak today. And they're talking about a variety of smaller proposals, not vast gun legislation, not an assault on assault weapons, much smaller proposals like expanding background checks, incentivizing possibly for states to implement red flag laws, putting more money into mental health services, safe gun storage. And this is why Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut, who's really been leading this effort, says he's so hopeful, because these are smaller, more incremental fixes that he says are more realistic and have more hope of getting passed. Listen to a bit of his reaction to these meetings.
We are going to work every single minute of every single day over the course of this week and next week to try to get enough of our Republican colleagues to yes. I hope they are moved by what they have witnessed in the way that the rest of this country has been moved. This is a test of democracy. I mean, I think a lot of people in this country are giving up on democracy. And if we fail to come together in the wake of last week, I think a lot more people will choose to give up on democracy.
And remember, Murphy needs to find 10 Republican senators to, whenever these bills do come down for a vote, to vote with Democrats and break that filibuster to get any sort of change solidified, Sinclair.
And there are lots of calls for change. We heard that a bit from Guad earlier. What is the White House doing about this renewed push for gun laws? And do we know if the president is considering his own executive action, especially given what feels a bit like deja vu, right? A horrific mass shooting, calls for gun control, but then nothing really changes.
Yeah, Zinkley, well, President Biden has to walk a sort of fine line here. He wants this to be bipartisan. He wants to let these senators on both sides of the aisle do their work without his involvement. And he said that he really doesn't have much of a say, with the exception of, as you said, executive orders. But that's something that the White House doesn't want to have to do. Yesterday, he said that he has full faith in Leader McConnell, in Texas Senator John Cornyn, who's also involved in some of these talks. And we know that this is personal to him. This is something that he took upon himself after Sandy Hook. He was tasked with leading gun reforms under President Obama, and we know those failed. So he really does have an effort and a personal involvement in this, in trying to see this forward. But his ability to do so is definitely limited, Sinclair.
Important analysis. Ali, thank you so much. Turning now to Ukraine and the intense fighting in the eastern region of the country. The governor of Ukraine's Luhansk region says more than half of the key city of Severodonetsk is now under Russian control. Their swift advance through the region is putting more pressure on the U.S. to support Ukraine. And President Biden signaled he would send advanced missiles to Ukraine in an op-ed he wrote in the New York Times. NBC News foreign correspondent Molly Hunter brings us the latest from Ukraine. Molly.
Good morning to you guys from Bucha. And I just want to show you, before we get into the headlines of the day, I want to show you where I am. We are at a market in Bucha, and it has been extraordinary in the last couple of days since I've been back in the country to see this city, which has been through so much, to kind of bounce back. And you see families out here. It's strawberry season. You just see life coming back. Down the street, we were at a church where there was that big mass grave where we spent so much time. There's now green grass growing over that. There flowers are coming up. This was a mall which was attacked, and the last time I was here, this whole area was absolutely trashed. It could not be different, though, of course, than the headlines of the day. And we are focused on the Donbass, and we are focused on the new U.S. advanced weapon systems that are now finally coming to the Ukrainian military. They have been asking for these. It is what soldiers, it is what fighters, troops in the Donbass have been asking for, and it has been what Ukrainian officials from the office of the president, from the defense minister, the foreign minister, have been asking the U.S. for. So Courtney Kuby and Carol Lee report that the U.S. will supply longer range, multiple launch rocket systems. They're called MLRs, and these will come. They won't come in time, though, guys, for that critical battle in the Donbass, on the condition, a senior administration official says, that Ukraine has agreed not to use them to launch rockets into Russia. A senior administration official also tells our colleagues that the package would include $700 million, including other weapon systems like javelins. One of the key points, though, is training. So Ukrainian troops will need training on these advanced weapon systems, according to a defense official to our Courtney Kuby and Carol Lee. That training is down to 1 to 2 weeks. And I do just want to bring you up to date on Severodonetsk. It is that city in that pocket of the Donbass we've been talking so much about. According to the regional governor, Russians control 70% of that city. Ukrainian troops who've been fighting in that city have now retreated to other positions. There are still civilians inside. There are no evacuations out and no aid. The Russian forces are moving in, closing in that pocket on the map. Guys, I'll send it back to you.
Molly Hunter, thank you so much for that report. Now, let's bring in Jim Townsend for more on the situation in Ukraine. He's a former Deputy Assistant Defense Secretary for NATO and Europe under President Obama. Jim, good morning. What do you make of the shift by President Biden to now send these long-range missile systems to Ukraine, particularly after he just told reporters we are not going to send Ukraine rocket systems that can strike Russia? Break this down for us.
Well, it's been a long time in coming. As your report said, the Ukrainians have been asking for this, but I think it's really the impact on the battlefield that has really pushed this decision to go now, despite the debate within the administration on what might happen in terms of the usage against Russia or other issues they might have had. I think now, given the battlefield, they need these long-range rocket-fired artillery to knock out these offensives that the Russians are making in the Donbass. The Russians, as your report said, they surround, whether it's Mariupol or these other towns, they surround those towns and then they pound them with artillery. And to fight back against that, they need the range that this MLRS will provide. And I think it's this fact on the battlefield turned the tide in the administration. It's needed now, and they've got to not waste any time getting it over there.
And Jim, the reality is, which you spoke to a bit, Russia is advancing quickly throughout eastern Ukraine. Do you think there's anything the Ukrainian military can do at this point to slow the Russians down?
Well, they're doing as much as they possibly can with what they have. And this MLRS is going to help. The 155 millimeter howitzers that began to arrive over the past few weeks will help. They have to blunt those advances, and they're doing a pretty good job. It's a bit of a slog for the Russians. This is not easy, and the job for the Ukrainians is to make this as painful as possible, to slow them down, and to make sure they're not caught in some type of situation where they're surrounded themselves by the Russians. So they've got to be fleet of foot. They've got to be able to move. So counter battery radar, the MLRS coming in, armor that's coming in as well is going to be important as they try to recapture land. There's tanks coming in from allies. So they're getting the supplies, but this is a war of attrition. And for Ukraine, they have got to survive. That's their number one goal, is just to survive every day, to fight that next day. And this MLRS is going to help them do it. So far, they've been doing a pretty good job.
And of course, Ukrainians are feeling the bulk of the pain, but it's not just them, right? We're learning that Russia is responding to the European Union's oil embargo by cutting off gas supplies to several countries in Europe. How long do you think this battle over natural resources can continue before both sides potentially harm themselves?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. And this is something we have to worry about is we're all of us now, including here in the United States, but particularly in Europe, as gas and oil are now going to be restricted. The European Union just passed a sixth sanctions package where they're going to try to end almost 90% of the oil going into the EU will be ended by the end of the year. So that's wintertime. And so the Europeans are going to feel it. I think it was the Netherlands that is now going to have their energy supplies cut off because they're not going to pay any rubles. That's what the Russians are asking for. So this is going to chip away at the unity in Europe. It's going to be a tough road for European leaders and for President Biden to keep everyone together as the winter comes, and that people in their homes are going to feel the effect of not necessarily having the kind of energy supplies they might have had last year. So if we're in it for the long term, and we've got to be in it for the long term, we've got to stay unified, and we've got to find workarounds for things like energy shortages.
I'm glad you said that. Tough road, long road, but it's something we're going to have to be in. Jim Townsend, thank you so much. Now, let's get a check at your morning news now weather. Michelle Grossman joins us now. Michelle, good morning.
Good morning. So good to see you. We are continuing to track severe weather. We have a slow moving cold front. So another day where we're watching showers and storms. This is what it looks like on radar right now. We've been watching this all night long. We're continuing to watch this. And this is going to be a story throughout the afternoon and evening hours. So here's that cold front. Clear to see on the radar here. You can see lots of lightning, some heavy rain, some orange, yellows, reds. That's indicating where that heavy rain is falling. The green is showing where that flash flood watch is, or the flood watch is. We're seeing flash flooding too. So 18 million people at risk today. That cold front's going to slide to the east, slide down to the south. So from the Great Lakes all the way through the Mississippi Valley into the southern plains, we're looking at the chance of some hail. Could be large at times, some damaging winds that could cause some destruction. Also the chance of an isolated tornado or two. It's a low chance, but it's still not a zero chance. And then as we go throughout Thursday, this is going to slide off to the east. So now 15 million people at risk, winds gusting up to 16 miles per hour. Could see some damaging hail as well. Tornado threat is low once again, but it's not zero. So we need to keep that in the back of our head, have a safety plan if we do see a tornado pop up. Where you see the yellow there, that's where we're seeing the slight risk. So anywhere from Atlantic City, Washington, Charlottesville, Richmond, Salisbury, Maryland, that's where we're seeing the slight risk. Also heavy rain. That's going to be a big factor today. It's been a big factor all week long. Where you see the darker colors, once again, the oranges, reds, yellows in the southern plains, parts of Oklahoma into Texas, we could see quite a bit of rain. We've already seen 4 inches in some spots. We're going to add to that. That could lead to flash flooding. And then also parts in the Northeast, we are looking at that flooding rain as well. And I just want to remind you, first day of the Atlantic hurricane season. Can you believe it? I know.
What letter are we on? Isn't that a thing?
It's a thing, yes. But we're not on a letter yet. We are watching a system. Could become a tropical storm. Most likely won't, but it would be Alex.
Okay, hurricanes to watch out for. Michelle Grossman, thank you.
Sure.
And coming up on Morning News Now, a crisis of cost as gas prices hit another all-time high. President Biden is promising relief. We'll tell you about his rare one-on-one meeting with the Federal Reserve Chairman after the break. Welcome back. As lawmakers on Capitol Hill debate gun reform, there's another issue worrying American families: money. President Biden says his top priority is tackling the soaring inflation that's hurting so many families right now. This comes as Biden presses his staff for changes amid mounting challenges and sinking approval ratings. NBC News senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell has more.
A crisis about the cost of everyday things. Gas prices hitting another all-time high, $4.62 for a gallon of regular.
I think it's absolutely disgraceful.
At the White House, a renewed push to acknowledge what Americans are feeling.
We're just in a difficult time right now with this inflation.
In the Oval Office, a rare in-person meeting between the president and the Federal Reserve chairman, who has ratcheted up interest rates, trying to tame inflation.
To discuss my top priority, and that is addressing inflation.
The president also published an opinion piece with his steps to fight inflation. Our recent NBC News poll showed just 33% of Americans approve of the president's handling of the economy. Just paying for basics like rent is a constant worry for single mother of two, Kiara Age.
Within the next couple of weeks, me and my kids could possibly be on the streets because, you know, the prices of everything keep going up.
Her rent in Nevada just went up 25%.
It's a lot. Like, I try not to get emotional about it, but it's a heavy load to carry.
Back at the White House, President Biden has been rattled by his sinking poll numbers and is pressing aides for a more compelling message and sharper strategy to address inflation and improve his political standing. People close to the president tell NBC News. One Democratic lawmaker said the White House has failed to put forward an intellectually honest plan to combat inflation. The president's economic advisor on inflation.
He's made very clear, and he's communicating very clearly that that's his top economic priority.
Advisors also say the president has been concerned that his plain speaking style that he thinks connects with voters has been stifled by aides. And he's expressed frustration that he wants more Democrats to defend him on television. In addition, he's been getting weekly polling briefings. Sources say the president was mystified that his numbers are as low as former President Trump, and that Mr. Biden believes the White House has not yet landed on a winning midterm message. And he's putting pressure on people to figure out what that is.
Kelly O'Donnell, thanks for that report. Now to our international headlines, starting in Brazil, where the death toll is rising as heavy rains cause major flooding. Raf Sanchez joins us now with the latest from Tel Aviv and more. Good morning, Raf.
Zincle Vicky, good morning. The death toll in Brazil now at more than 100 after those major floods. The government says at least 10 more people are missing, and they are determined to find them no matter how long it takes. Meanwhile, the rains just keep coming and more flooding is expected. The Canadian province of British Columbia will temporarily decriminalize illegal drugs for personal use starting next year. The policy experiment will last for 3 years and comes in response to unprecedented overdose levels. Authorities hope decriminalizing will encourage addicts to come out of the shadows and seek help. And finally, a pretty serious case of sharp objects in your luggage. A man allegedly tried to smuggle a 700-year-old samurai sword into Switzerland. He was caught at the border, and the sword has now been confiscated. It's a katana blade made in 1353, an incredibly rare object. And guys, experts estimate it is worth some $700,000.
Wow, Raf, something tells me that sword was not carry-on sized.
I don't think so.
Thanks for breaking it down. And coming up, day 3 of deliberations get underway today in the defamation trial between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. The one question asked by the jury as they try to reach a verdict. And espresso yourself. Good news for coffee lovers, why researchers now say your morning cup of joe could be good for your health. Coming up in our weekly checkup on Morning News Now. Welcome back. Jury deliberations in the defamation lawsuit against Amber Heard enter day 3 this morning after nearly 8 hours of discussion on Tuesday. The jury must decide if a 2018 Washington Post op-ed written by Heard derailed the career of ex-husband Johnny Depp. Depp alleges the op-ed accused him of domestic abuse. Their lawyers claim the result of this trial could give both actors their lives back. NBC News correspondent Ron Allen joins us now from outside the courthouse in Fairfax, Virginia, with the latest. Ron, good morning. This has been a long case. While the jury has not reached a decision in this case yet, they did ask the judge a noteworthy question during deliberations yesterday. What more can you tell us about that?
They did ask a question, and it has to do with the statements in that op-ed that are the center of this. There have been a lot of allegations back and forth about violence and abuse, but this case comes down to specific statements in that op-ed that Depp says destroyed his career and defamed him. Specifically, the jury asked about the statement that says, was the headline of the op-ed, "I spoke up against sexual violence," Heard wrote, "and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change." And the jury was asking the judge whether they had to consider just that headline or the content of the entire op-ed as they were trying to determine whether this statement defamed and destroyed Depp's career. The judge said they had to just focus on that one headline, that one statement, that part of the statement, not the entire op-ed. So it's a little technical, but I think it also points out the fact that the jury has to go through this meticulously. There are as many as several dozen decisions that they have to make about what is defamation, what are the elements of defamation, what is slander, what is there are a lot of terms in this that go beyond just the allegations of abuse, but ultimately it comes down to whether they believe Depp or whether they believe Heard is the victim in all this. Think, Clay?
Ron, as you break it down, it's clear words matter in this, and I think the public has had and shared a lot of opinions online, but at the end of the day, it's going to be the jury that decides. So remind us, who is sitting on this jury? What do we know about the makeup so far?
7 jurors in a civil case, not 12, so that may make it easier for them to reach a unanimous decision. 5 men, 2 women. We don't know a lot about them demographically. We know they have not been sequestered. They are not sequestered during the deliberations, so they've been going home every day and dealing with this now for 6 weeks of testimony and now the 3rd day of deliberations through a holiday weekend. So they've been going at this a long time. As far as we know, they are ordinary people listening to this extraordinary case of claims for hundreds of millions of dollars. It must be surreal for them to be sitting there listening to this. These 2 mega stars who, at the center of this is a personal, domestic, marital dispute, but the magnitude of it is enormous. And for these jurors who, as I again say, as far as we know, they're just ordinary citizens, it must be a surreal experience.
Yeah, those jurors are ordinary. Of course, we know Amber Heard and Johnny Depp are not. They're famous, they're celebrities. So what's next for them? Are they working on their careers while the jurors go over this evidence?
But we know Depp has been playing concerts in England. He played another one last night with his friend Jeff Beck. These are events that his team says were on the calendar. He's working, trying to make a living, and he's not been here at court during the deliberations. It's unclear whether he will be here when the verdict happens. He does not have to be here. Heard's team says that she will be here for a verdict. We don't know what she's been doing to try and resurrect her career. And of course, that's the big question going forward for them. How will they fare? There's a lot out there that says that Depp may feel that he's already won in the court of public opinion and in the court of social media, so he may feel like he's made his point. He doesn't have to be here. Heard is in perhaps a different circumstance. But the bottom line is they are not here. Their lawyers are, so some of the hoopla has died down for now. But of course, I think all that will be back when we hear that there's a verdict, whenever that is, and who knows when that's going to come. Think, Clay?
Ron Allen in front of the courthouse in Virginia, thank you so much. And now it's time for our weekly health check-in. I'm joined with NBC News medical contributor, Dr. Natalie Azar. Thank you so much for being here with us. And I'm very into this headline. So the first study is full of good news for people who are getting up early like us. It's about coffee and the fact that drinking sweetened and unsweetened coffee is linked to a lower risk of death. So how much coffee are we looking at here?
So first of all, I always like to give a little background on this, and that is to say that we have known for a very, very long time that caffeine in coffee can actually be good for your health. But I always say it's a Goldilocks number. It's like too much or too little is actually potentially associated with poorer health outcomes. But what studies haven't looked at, Zinlei, is what about if you put sugar in your coffee, right? Because we know that adding a lot of extra sugar is not necessarily good. So this study took a look at folks who drank coffee with a sweetener, and that is about a teaspoon of sugar. And they found out that if you drank 1.5 to 3.5 cups per day of coffee with sugar, you decreased your risk of dying by 30%. Oh, wow. That's actually pretty remarkable. So my doctor's orders are pretty straightforward. Yes, you can add some sugar in your coffee, but, and here's the caveat, I'm not going to name the brand. We're not talking about big, fancy stuff with a lot of extra calories and sugar. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a teaspoon of sugar. And regarding how much coffee every single day, you don't want to go over 400 milligrams. A cup of coffee, an average cup of coffee has about 95 milligrams of caffeine. So stick to that 3.5 as a max. Yeah. Good to go.
Okay, I'm more of a matcha person, but now I might have a little more coffee in my life. And you're helping us go through the health headlines. Yes. Another study we're looking at this week is that some men are skipping their annual health screening. Yes. Why are they ignoring these checkups, and how many people is this affecting?
So this was a real, I love sometimes these data points that make you just go, huh? Yeah. So this study polled a bunch of different men, 38% of whom said that they get their health advice from social media, which at this point, I think in our lives shouldn't really surprise any of us. But this next one really caught my attention too. 38% of them say that they put their pet's health before their own. Oh, wow. I know, that's a little bit of a head scratcher. So here's the thing. Should you get an annual doctor's, or should you have an annual doctor's visit? Believe it or not, the data on that is a little bit mixed in terms of like, if you see your doctor every year, does that actually help you save your life? I'm just going to put it out there. That data is a little mixed. On the other hand, as a healthcare provider, I say, why wouldn't you want to see your doctor once a year? Because you establish that relationship, right? And we always say that if your doctor knows you when you're healthy, they can certainly help you when you're sick. And it also helps to pick up on things in terms of preventive medicine. There are doctor's orders are, there are hidden problems that perhaps the doctor can uncover. You do want to establish that relationship. And by all means, perhaps you should put your health before your pets. Although I know as a pet owner myself, if my baby had to go to the hospital and I was feeling like I had a sore throat, my baby would be taken to the vet first.
Man's best friend. Man's best friend.
Absolutely. Woman's best friend, too.
Yes. And our next study focuses on a different liquid, not coffee, but alcohol. Yeah. And it looks at alcohol-related liver disease and some key steps people can take to prevent this from happening. Tell us more about that.
So the big takeaway here, Zinlei, is that alcohol-related liver disease can really present at late stages, and that's the concerning thing. So early detection is key. In 2018, the World Health Organization said that about 3 million deaths per year were related to alcohol misuse. It's important. The doctor's orders here are simply this. Early detection is key in terms of alcohol-related liver disease. And what do we mean by that? It means you go to the doctor and they ask you screening questions about your alcohol use. You need to be honest with them, right? And if you see a loved one or a family member who you think might be, struggling with alcohol use disorder, please speak up and get them help.
Love it. Dr. Natalie Azar, thank you for breaking it all down.
You bet.
And coming up, rejoining the workforce. When we come back, why some are returning after retiring during the pandemic, and back in business. More employees traveling for work again despite those sky-high airfares, how it's impacting airports nationwide next. Welcome back. You've heard about the Great Resignation, but have you heard about this? As workers return to the office, companies are seeing a trend among new hires where older Americans are returning to the workforce in droves. NBC News Now correspondent Jake Ward has more.
For thousands of Americans on the verge of retirement, COVID was a great reason to finally leave the world of work behind. The pandemic led Scott Ward to reevaluate a Silicon Valley HR career spent endlessly traveling.
After I retired, I started doing things that I guess retirees do, right? I played video games a lot. I rode a motorcycle a lot, but it got kind of old after a while.
And within a few months, he realized he was not ready to hang it up.
I was bored or anything else. I felt like I wasn't fulfilling what I was capable of, and I wasn't done.
Unretirement, in which older people re-enter the workforce, is on the rise in the United States after stalling during the pandemic. There are an estimated 5.6 million more job vacancies than there are available workers, giving enormous power to job seekers. And some fields are particularly short-staffed. The Labor Department says we'll need more than 1 million new nurses to replace those leaving the field. And retired nurse Michelle Wenzel says she honestly misses the work.
I love helping other people, and I love learning new medical information. I don't know, it really charges my battery.
She thinks she can find a gig that accommodates her arthritis.
Being on my feet for 4 hours is the most I can do.
But not everyone is simply going back for the satisfaction of it. Inflation means everything today is 8.5% more expensive than it was a year ago. That can blow up the household budget of any retired person living on a fixed income. For Dr. Connie Kitchens, who retired as an educator in 2018, her and her husband's fixed income supported them just fine. But then her daughter developed breast cancer.
She and her 2 children moved into our homes. Unfortunately, my daughter passed away in 2019. And now my husband and I, we have gone from living off of an income that was meant for 2. Now we have to provide for 4 people.
Now, Dr. Kitchens is back with students.
I have obtained employment and I am teaching online.
Michelle Wenzel says each day's mail brings a job offer.
I've had a lot of opportunity without doing anything.
And Scott Ward is at a pharmaceutical company and has begun acting.
I have a movie called Craving that I'm filming next week down in Burbank. It's a horror movie.
COVID led thousands of Americans to step off the professional path. Now, as the country reopens and the economy clamors for them, the post-pandemic era has many of them stepping right back on. Jake Ward, NBC News, San Francisco.
Jake Ward, thanks for that report. More financial headlines now, and the U.S. Senate Banking Committee is calling on Wells Fargo to improve its internal practices. CNBC's Bertha Coombs joins us now with this and more financial news. Good morning, Bertha.
Good morning. That's right. The chair of the Senate Banking Committee is telling Wells Fargo to fix long-standing problems at the bank, including its risk management and hiring practices. Senator Sherrod Brown sent a letter to Wells Fargo's CEO saying the company still has much more work to do to address its shortcomings. The nation's 4th largest bank remains under increased scrutiny by regulators due to several scandals, including when employees opened fake accounts to help reach sales targets. Netflix has been testing a crackdown on password sharing with users in South America, and it's apparently not going well. Reports say that subscribers in Peru weren't formally made aware of the policy changes through an email or any other notification, and Netflix's level of enforcement varied from user to user. There's also been some confusion surrounding how Netflix defines a household, as some may consider their immediate family as part of their household. Chick-fil-A is planning to test autonomous delivery with the help of a startup called Refraction AI. The fast food chain will use Refraction's fleet of small self-driving robots delivering orders from 2 locations in Austin, Texas. So they'll do that starting later this month as part of a larger test to understand how Refraction might be able to serve restaurants by helping them maximize profits. The robots can travel at speeds of about 15 miles per hour and deliver items in 10 to 12 minutes.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know what the roads are like in Austin. I guess that's okay, but I'm thinking up here in the Northeast with all the potholes, I don't know how those autonomous delivery vehicles
Good luck to the robots. Good luck to the robots. Bertha,
right?
Thank you so much. And it's been a rocky start to the summer travel season, with some 1,500 flights canceled over the holiday weekend. And now, with airfares soaring, the skies are getting even more crowded as business travel makes a major comeback. NBC News correspondent Tom Costello has more.
This aircraft will be completely full.
Pick any airport.
Do you have a completely full flight today?
Airline travelers are back, paying a record average $383 for domestic tickets, up 34% from 2019, with jet fuel up 114% in a year. The airline's bread and butter passengers are business travelers who pay full fare. Now, despite predictions they'd stay on Zoom, United says they too are coming back. Russell Toney's company cut travel by 90% during the pandemic. Now he's flying again.
I probably will be for the next 6 weeks. So it's back really strong now because I'm doing a lot of catch-up travel. At some point, it will probably moderate again.
I'm going to put my camera on. Hey, Joe.
Kimberly McEwen never stopped traveling, insisting virtual meetings are no substitute for meeting clients in person.
It's about building trust.
Absolutely. It's that interpersonal relationship, and you don't get that human contact through a computer screen.
Airline Premier Lounges are also filling up again, so crowded, Delta is limiting customer access, with companies again holding big conferences for the first time in 2+ years.
Once they start traveling, it's kind of this gradual, and then there's a huge increase as people realize how important it is.
The return of business and leisure travelers spreading out across the entire travel industry. Hotels are booked, rental cars hard to come by, restaurants are packed, and employees in short supply.
Business consultants say those virtual meetings are here to stay.
It was always great to be face-to-face, but there's a lot of business that I think can be conducted, over virtual.
But in the world's biggest economy, face-to-face business is on the rebound. Tom Costello, NBC News, Chicago.
Thanks, Tom, for that report. Coming up on Morning News Now, divided kingdom. As much of the UK prepares to celebrate the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, there are some people there who are raising questions about the monarchy. We'll look into the debate that dates back decades. Meanwhile, many Americans choosing to join in the celebration. More on what's behind America's love affair with all the royal fanfare after the break. But first, we're going to talk about Elvis. It might be a heartbreak hotel for several wedding chapels in Las Vegas. They're all shook up after Authentic Brands Group, the licensing company that controls the name and likeness of the King, Elvis Presley, sent a cease and desist letter ordering chapels to stop using Elvis lookalikes in themed ceremonies. According to some owners who have received the letter, they say they're being accused of infringement of intellectual property rights. It's unclear why the letter was sent despite Elvis weddings being a staple of the Vegas Strip for many years. Weddings are a big business in Sin City, bringing in $2 billion a year. And now from the King to the Queen. Tomorrow, the United Kingdom celebrates the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. However, the people of the United Kingdom aren't always united in support for the monarchy. And nowhere is that more true than in Northern Ireland, where some don't even acknowledge the Queen.
To maintain the union between Great Britain and Northern Ireland and see themselves as subjects of the Queen. It's a very important day for them. The royal family and the symbolism of the Queen is an important part of their identity as unionists.
But in May, for the first time in history, the Irish Nationalist Party Sinn Féin became the largest party in Northern Ireland's legislature. It all means organizing a party in the capital, Belfast, is a delicate affair.
Belfast is going to celebrate that in a positive way. So we're having a beacon being lit beside one of our major buildings, which is the Titanic Museum. Anytime we're going to be looking at cultural celebrations in Northern Ireland, some people may find that they are more in favour of it than others. So we try and make sure that we represent the entire community. But just like we would have the celebrations for St. Patrick's Day, for those who are more in the Irish.
A balance that some people on both sides feel the Queen has tried to strike during her reign.
We're here in the Lyric Theatre on the banks of the River Lagan in Belfast, and here the Queen, on one of her visits to Northern Ireland, met and shook hands with the then Sinn Féin First Minister Martin McGuinness. He had a history as a leader of the IRA during the Troubles. The IRA had been responsible for a number of killings during the Troubles, including the assassination of Lord Louis Mountbatten, who was related to her as the uncle of her husband, Prince Philip. And to many from the Unionists and even from the British side, it would have been seen as the Queen making a significant gesture by agreeing to meet McGuinness. However, on the Republican side, it would have been seen as quite a significant gesture by McGuinness to shake hands with the royals.
And while the Queen's reign has seen turbulent times in Northern Ireland, many have grown to separate the woman from the position.
I think there's also a difference between the person of the monarch and the institution of the monarchy. And I think Elizabeth, she has been there for so long that people often see the person Elizabeth rather than the monarch as the Queen.
And Jubilee celebrations are also causing a point of contention in Scotland, like in Glasgow, where city leaders are being criticized for not planning any official celebrations. Here in the U.S., some of the Queen's biggest fans are anxiously awaiting the start of the Platinum Jubilee. NBC News Chief Foreign Affairs correspondent Andrea Mitchell may have found the ultimate super fan living in Maryland. She sat down with the Queen's admirer to talk about his fascination with Her Majesty and what he hopes to see from the historic anniversary.
Americans have long been fascinated by British royalty, the pomp and circumstance, the pageantry. But few are as big a fan as John Hodson, the town clerk in Upper Marlboro, Maryland.
The royal family to me is a soap opera.
He's collected 13,000 royal artifacts ever since he first saw Princess Diana's wedding on TV when he was 8 years old.
But when Diana stepped out of that carriage, it was just, it was a love affair. Of course, my prized possession is the wedding cake.
Oh my gosh. Piece of cake from 1981.
81.
John, I have to confess, it doesn't look that appetizing.
No. I wouldn't dare try it now.
So how excited are you about the Queen's Jubilee?
I am very excited about it. It is exciting that she has made it 70 years on the throne. And who would have thought she's the longest reigning monarch in the world?
For him, going to England is like a pilgrimage. And he doesn't see that changing, even when the wildly popular Queen is succeeded by her distinctly less popular son, Prince Charles.
They want to go see the royals. They want to go to Buckingham Palace. They want to go to Windsor Castle. They want to see them and be near them. I mean, the Americans are more fascinated with the British royal family than they are.
But didn't we fight a revolution to get rid of the royals?
Americans are fascinated by British monarchs, but at the same time, we rebelled against them, and that's how we got our country.
In fact, U.S. presidents are eager to meet the Queen. She's met 13 of the last 14, all except Lyndon Johnson, since her coronation.
And of course, we do have the cup, of course, from the coronation of Her Majesty the Queen from 1952.
May I touch the teacup?
To Her Majesty the Queen.
To Her Majesty. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News, Upper Marlboro, Maryland.
Well, cheers to that. Well, that does it for this hour of Morning News Now, but the news continues right now.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.